Hey guys, I want to take you guys to the charts today and I want to show you the different methods of trading a trend line, but I want to focus mostly on one of them. So if you've seen any previous videos or if you've been in my Patreon trading community, you will probably see that I will spot a trend line and say, hey, look for rejection or look for a breakout. And what I mostly want to look at is the rejection as well as somewhat paying attention to a break and a retest to where it may break and it may start coming back down, and you'll notice that once it breaks it begins to retest and sometimes hold the trend line where it initially broke. So I'm going to come over here to GLD, which is gold shares. Now I'm primarily a options trader, but I also trade futures too. And so this exact same setup is one of those ones that I use today to trade futures. And I'm going to bring you guys over here to GLD because this is the gold iShares. It is the gold futures tracker. So if you don't trade futures, you can trade gold by trading GLD. So let's come down here and let's get right into it. I'm going to show you guys exactly what I was looking at because I was essentially trading gold futures today. And so as you guys notice here, this is when the market opened. Notice here we gap down. Okay, we got a little bit of a gap here. So because we still got a little bit of time, I was looking to see that they were going to go back and refill that gap today when the market was pushing up, but then they hit us with this little tweezer. We began to push a bit lower. Initially, you guys notice we got this downtrend. We got this upward consolidated move here where they kind of was pushing that price up in between those lines. We got that little breakout and it began to push lower. So I was looking to see if they were going to go back and try to get that gap filled. But essentially we became, this thing began pushing lower. Okay, so that was just the initial thing that I was looking at. Now, by the time that I really came back on gold and to see the kind of start tracking the trend line a bit was probably a little bit later. Okay, and I'm actually going to draw this right around to this area here. Okay, now I'm actually going to bring it down to where I actually started kind of looking at it, which was right around here. Kind of pushing 10. Okay, and so I want to kind of show you guys this and bring it further out is because I want to pretty much show you guys what that trend line look like with rejection. Okay, so with rejection, what I mean is by when you spot a trend line, okay, the price is hitting a trend line coming down, hitting the trend line coming down. This is sort of giving you some rinse and repeat opportunity to make a move at the rejection of the trend line. And by that, you got this first little hit that was here. Okay, we didn't come up here, but we can kind of see where they attempted and pushed back down. They retested the trend line again here and here. And what happened each time it hits the trend line? The price moves downward. Now, of course, you want to be sure that it's not breaking it. And of course, you know that unless we get a close over that thing, then it starts to count. If we don't got a close over, then I'm not, I'm not tripping. Because without a close, it's basically saying we haven't agreed to a price outside the trend line yet, but we have the ability to keep pushing down. And the strength of those wicks will let us know how strong that rejection is, okay? So I did see this here happening. We pushed up. We made a nice little move down in this thing here. They held the price up. Now, this is another thing that I mark up when I'm looking at these trend lines, and that is a support level or a support area because I want to know where they will potentially push this thing down. If I come over here, you guys see with this strong little push back up here, we can kind of get this little nice red candle. I will start here and bring this thing over. And you see right here at the bottom where that little hold up there at that support, that was the final little move down there that they made. Okay, so this little point down here and all of this inside of this zone and on top of that will be where I would look to see that they could potentially stop it out. Now, we came down toward the top, we pushed up, same little area, we pushed back up again, here again, we pushed back up. And we continue to kind of play along those levels every time we push down. Now, you can make a move at support. Okay, but when you're tracking a trend line, the best moves are either a retest of the trend line or a breakout of the trend line. Because for one, Once it starts getting down here, let's just say it is down here and it starts to continue down. It doesn't bottom out and start pushing back up. A little bit more risky to enter in this area down here, okay? The best place would be at the touch of the trend line or a break. Now, the next thing with this thing here is where you would kind of make your move. So if you are testing the trend line, I'm going to get a note here. And we kind of started this thing out here. So let's say we came back up, we tested the trend line here. And this here would be an entry for a put. Okay, then you will come down to use that support area as your exit. Now, of course, you can exit when you are ready, but always keep in mind where this thing could potentially bottom out and start riding back up. Now, in this case here, notice it made a nice move down. And if you trade gold futures, these little three candles here would have been a damn good move, okay? Even though it did push back up, coming out of that, if you have some sort of price target, this would have been an amazing move, especially with multiple contracts. So if you're trading GLD, you definitely still want to kind of have a target in mind. Now this here was approximately 466 and it dropped as low as 465. So that's approximately $1 move depending on how many contracts you have and what your delta looks like. It could be a decent move, but it just all comes down to how your profits are adding up with multiple contracts and what that delta is, okay? So once we came down here, even if you were still holding that trade and you notice that we're retesting the trend line again, if it holds below the trend line and it's still rejecting, then of course you will have that ability to see this thing go back down. But you don't want to take too many chances and overstay your welcome and that thing breaks out and now it's pushing back up, throwing off your entire play. Okay? But if you were to get in here and the price got back down here, your exit will be at this support zone somewhere. Okay, so you will exit at support zone. Okay, so it could be a level or it could be somewhere, a little bit lower because you see we have a ton of wicks down here, so a ton of places to look. So even if you made your move on this one, or you made your move here. Okay, you can see it made another little hit there, and you can see where they came down to this lower point here. Okay, so when you're trading a trend line, the rejection is one of those ways to make your entry, and then support is one of those ways to make your exit. Okay, now the next one would be actually a breakout of that trend line. Now the breakouts, of course, can be short-lived, just as the rejections of the trend line can be short-lived. In this case, we got that breakout here on this particular, on the trend line here. This was what, around 210, getting close to the market close. We get a breakout. It makes a nice size move up, right up in here. Okay, kind of almost very close to around 467.80. But you notice we begin to come down again. Okay, now this is where I would want to see if this thing is going to hold the trend line to where, let's just say you missed the move on the breakout, but it comes back down and start retesting the exact same area that it broke out from. You can find opportunity there as an entry as long as that trend line is holding up. That will look like a break and a retest, and you making your move on the retest to ride the price back up. You can also find this exact same thing with the uptrend, and you looking for the breakout below the trend line to ride the price down. And the trend line will be the exact same concept, okay? To where if you are looking at an uptrend, okay, and then you bring the price and get a break, and the price touches the trend line, it comes back down, retest the trend line. Might come back a little bit more, may retest the trend line again. Come back up, retest again. And it's just simply doing the exact same thing it does on the downtrend. But now you're looking for a break. You get that break below and you make your move to ride it down. Or if you miss the mark to get it with that breakout, you look for a retest below the trend line to where it holds. You make a potential move there with strong confirmation, and then you ride the price to the downside. Okay, so it will be the same concept with downtrends and uptrends, regardless of how you are tracking it. You can definitely make a move. And in this case, you'll be looking for your resistance area to where the price could potentially stop. Okay, it may continue to go in and wedge and then it may breaks out, or it could break out before that, but you're also paying attention to where the price could get stocked out at the top and then begin to come back down. Okay, so same concept, either direction. Rejections, for me personally, I do like to see rejection, but I also like to see the breakouts to where the breakout's a little bit more solid, especially on a breaking retest, to where it's pretty much showing us it's not going to go back below that trend line, and we have enough solid confirmation that tells us that the price can continue to ride up. So how you make your move on that, of course, is solely up to you. You want to make sure that you have a profit target so that you're not overstaying your welcome. You want to make sure you have your support and your resistance marked up so that you have some clear targets of where you want to hit, where you want it to hit, and you come out and respect your levels, because that thing can hit, as you guys can see here. It may have given you the feel that it was going to keep going because of these two strong candles, and this thing began to come back down. So make sure you have a target, make sure you don't overstay, and make sure you go with the highest probability setup so that way you are not jumping in prematurely and that you're not taking unnecessary risks, such as entering in the support area when it's not really a very, very clear support. In this case, it's not too clear. Like, it's down there. We got a zone, but in an area, but we want to make sure we have something a little bit more solid if we're going to try to make a move at support. Not always the best when I'm looking at trend lines. I like to stick to it simply with hitting, rejecting, or breaking out, or breaking retest. Okay, so I hope that helps. It's just something that you can give a go on your own. Even if the market is closed, you can try to find these same setups trading futures and paper trading, whether it's on TradingView, whatever platform you want to use, or crypto. Crypto, of course, goes 24/7. So therefore, you have something that you can kind of get a little bit of practice in and try out the trend line method. It can be a short-term trend line. It can be a long-term trend line. It's just the only difference is a longer term one on a daily, a weekly, even a monthly time frame. It may take a little bit of time because that entire trend line may have took 6 months to form, 3 months to form. And once that breakout happened, you just kind of plan accordingly to that. Okay, in short term wise, we know this thing can last for all of 15 minutes on a breakout, 15 minutes on a rejection. You just have to be prepared and make sure that you take those profits. Okay, so I really, really hope this helped. If you test out a trade with this, or if you do one of your own trades, like an actual trade, let me know how it worked out for you. Okay, so I hope you can take this lesson and do a little something with it. I'll see you guys in the next one.